So before this became an Oasis V3, one of the things I was supposed to talk about was AIMM, Aerospace Improvement Maturity Model. And we have an AIMM IAQG website or an AIMM web email. And Roberto Siashi is our AIMM leader. Has done an excellent job with AIMM. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is the model, the tool, what's the status of it, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. Okay, so first the model. So today, right, we deal with compliance to AS 9100. It's required to promote improvement of performance, right? But it kind of just, are you compliant or not? It doesn't give you grades of improvement. Or if I want to be, let's say I want to be a world-class design and development organization, how do I get there? Okay. It just kind of shows you, yep, I'm compliant with the standard. All right. A lot of times people are mainly looking at certification. What do I need to maintain my certification? And they're required to reach a certain level of conformity. So we're trying to talk about AIMM, Aerospace Improvement Maturity Model. It's based upon 9100 expected outcomes. So it is already in line with what organizations are doing. It sets measure targets for improvement. You can do it for your whole quality management system. You can do it, like I said, for example, for design alone. It can provide a recognition for improvement. I've seen some people incorporate the AIMM model into their internal auditing process. We have also collaborated with the Supply Chain Management Handbook to kind of cross-reference things between the AIMM model and the SCMH. It helps you with areas for improvement. And obviously, we're looking to improve the effectiveness, the level of quality, and the whole aerospace supply chain. Okay. Right now it is self-assessed. There's no auditing or CB or anything else that can go off for some kind of certification for it. It's a voluntary decision. I will tell you that some of us are pretty passionate about it staying a voluntary, because otherwise, all of a sudden, everybody becomes, I'm a maturity level 5, I'm perfect, I don't need to do anything, right? You need to go look at it. The way these have been most effective is when they're done in kind of a team format at a particular organization. You see there about can be used as part of your internal audit program. And also, let's say you're having a particular problem with one of your suppliers, all right? Maybe it has to deal with identification of non-conforming material. Maybe there's some information in AIMM that could be beneficial to help them improve their compliance, improve their capability with regards to that particular process area, okay? As I mentioned, it's based upon expected outcomes for the scope of the standard. There's 5 levels, 1 to 5, kind of like CMMI, but unlike CMMI, I made the mistake. I'm used to ISO standards, military standards, and when I first started getting acquainted with CMMI, I'm like, let me print this sucker out. 3 reams of paper later, 800 pages, killed a couple trees. A lot more straightforward, obviously, from CMMI. But I also want to say that I don't believe it conflicts with CMMI if that's what the direction your organization wants to go. We have it all electronic within a tool. Earlier, it was shown about IAQG.org, and we showed you tools. One of the tools up there is AIMM. So here's the different 5 levels. Initial, you're achieving some of the expected outcomes, but it's not repeatable. Managed, maybe you're doing it in certain areas, but not across the board. Deployed, defined, deployed across the organization. Predictable, you'll get the results you're expecting to get. Optimized, right? Best in class. okay? And we have criteria by clause of the standard for each one of these different definitions that mirror this is what you would be seeing for each of those different levels of maturity. Sometimes I get the question, what would compliance be? Typically 2, maybe 3, all right, with regards to the model. What's embarrassing? Some of the results, and once again, we haven't used this for evil, but it's amazing how many certified organizations rank themselves 1 or 2 that are certified. Let's see. This just shows you side by side. What's the whole purpose of a certification audit? You know, have we reached a level of compliance regardless of maturity, pass, fail, done by third-party auditors, the whole standard, the maturity assessment, right? You go up and beyond 9100. It's done by primarily from people from your own organization. There is some training that is available through Plexus for this. Also, the AIMM modules, to be honest, pretty much stand on their own. They're pretty easy to understand. Here's some of the different modules. You can see in some time we kind of grouped them, just trying to make them all about the same size to make it a little bit easier to go perform it. You see, for example, 8.5 is separated out into 3 different modules. Okay. The tool, here it is, IAQG.org, right? You could go there or, perfect. Or you could click up here, just where it says AIMM. I'll do it for this side of the room. Okay. It brings you to this kind of checkerboard. So you can go say what language do you want? It has been translated into different languages. And you can start working whichever module you want to particularly go assess. Here, for example, you see this is 7.2 for competence. Here's the expected outcome. The process persons are competent on the basis of appropriate education, training, or experience. What does that look like at level 1, level 2, 3, 4, and 5? So also is sometimes people care about the scores, not just about how they're doing. And obviously, for example, on the last example that we had, if you score yourself at 2 and you're like, what do I need to go do to become a 3? Just go look at the criteria in 3 or 4, okay, as you go up the levels of maturity. Then it'll give you kind of a score because you're putting it in here, how much of the criteria is met to say, have we sufficiently passed enough of those criteria to say that we are level 2, for example? Neat, gives you a little spider diagram, right? This particular group did module 7.1, 7.15, and 7.2. All right, and I'm trying to, looks like their goal was level 3. And you see there that 7.5 or 7.1, I'm sorry, was level 4. 7.15 calibration was level 2. 7.2 level 3. Okay. Status and outlook. The United States by far are the main users of AIMM. I want to say France is the most. Europe, you see a kingdom, China. It has been translated in Japan and some of the other languages as well. So one of the things we have to do, obviously you have a tool based upon 9100. There's always improvements, feedback from users. Also, there's other standards, like for example, the 10,000 series of ISO has some good requirements. Guidance. Has anybody heard of ISO TS 9002? Is that a yes? Thank you. You know, now I'm going to revert back. I don't get paid for how many standards you purchase, by the way, okay? What's interesting is that, let me start from this. ISO 9001 2015 has an annex. Duh. Do you know standards before had annexes as well? It was used in the drafting of those standards. But one of the requirements of ISO 9001 is that the document be able to stand on its own. It doesn't need explanations. So in the past, we'd always chop off the annex before we released ISO 9001. This version, right, with the new vocabulary, the new Annex SL and such, we decided to go ahead and add the annex and this document, ISO TS 9002. So for example, interested parties in the standard is like maybe a quarter of a page, maybe a third of a page. In ISO TS 9002, it's like 3 or 4 pages long. So what's cool, I'm sorry, I get excited when I talk about standards. The people who wrote, right, TC 176, the people who wrote ISO 9001, the ISO 9001 was led by co-conveners, Lori Hunt from the United States, Jose Dominguez from Mexico. Guess who also were the conveners of ISO TS 9002? The same 2 folks, okay? So you know it's good. Anyway, you see their integration with SCMH. So you see here, we have an AIMM 1.1, so improved readability and such. We have plans for 1.1 IRHL. Don't ask me what that is. I can make up some, I got some fun and make up some, what those words are. But you see also we have an AIMM 2.0. The 2.0 will be to the new version of the standard, right? Because as the standard changes, we'll need to be changing AIMM as well. Okay, feedback from users. For the most part, everything's been very, very positive. I feel kind of like a wuss because Michelle stood up here with Oasis V3. I could pull up the AIMM tool and walk you all through it. You can see how I struggle with it, but I prefer not to. All right. Anyway, you know, once again, as I mentioned, AIMM is probably best done not in a vacuum, not as a single individual at a desk, but kind of as a team, cross-functional team of people to kind of talk about really what's representative of our system. Let's see. This just talks about, for example, different layers, working it from an organization, managing a team, where you have collaboration, decisions, and then working it kind of alone. So I'll let you look at this.